And I know you've been monitoring it throughout the night. It looks like it's going to be as bad as people predicted.
And this is a thing that is really important. We're very lucky in this country that we have a really fantastic network of supercomputers that can do our forecast. And this forecast that we've been forecasting since Monday will save lives. Our show this morning with our correspondents, which are genuinely safely placed around the country, their reports will save lives. It's so important that people take heed of this advice, particularly in the red warning areas. Don't go out unless it is absolutely necessary. We've already said to teams here to go home early this morning so they can get home safely. And that's why we've issued this red warning, because it is going to be a danger to life. And some people will say, oh, it's just because it's in the south, it's just because it's in London, is this why we're doing it? London is one of the most populated cities in the entire world. An 80-mile-an-hour gust of wind will bring down scaffolding, it potentially bring down cranes, and it's that could cause fatalities. And that's why this is so important. We're not sort of scaremongering. This is going to be a really big deal. So let me talk you through what is happening at the moment and where it's going to be happening as we head through the next 12 to 24 hours. This is our hook of cloud. This is Storm Eunice, and it was named because it's going to be so impactful. It's rapidly deepened. We talk about this explosive cyclogenesis, this weather bomb yesterday, and it's only just arriving. The focus for the strongest winds at the moment will be through southwestern areas of England and South Wales. That is where our first red weather warning area is moving in, right along this coastline here. We already have gusts of 60 miles an hour. Like I said, it's just started. We're going to move to 70 to 80, maybe 90-mile-an-hour gusts of wind, and then the whole thing tracks its way eastwards. Then we see 60 to 70-mile-an-hour gusts of wind, up to 80, not just around the coast, inland in London, and then the whole storm tracks northwards. And it's worth pointing out that, first of all, we will have the rain. The rain will clear, and you might think it's then safe to go out. The winds will strengthen once the rain has gone through, and we'll be seeing that from our correspondents as we head through the day. So these are our warning areas. We have the ambers and the reds across most of England and Wales, and then the yellow for the snow and the ice further north.
Laura, thank you. Right, OK, we're going to cross.
The latest that the winds are really ramping up this morning. We've already had gusts of 70 miles an hour. The storm is just arriving. We have these red warnings coming into force through southwest England, Bristol Channel and the southeast of England. You may not know you're waking up to a brand new red warning across the southeast. Here's the details. Good morning. So yes, Storm Eunice arrived overnight last night. We're already seeing the strong winds and the heavy rain moving in. Peak gusts so far, 75 miles an hour, and it's only going to get stronger. A powerful jet stream is driving all of this, developing our area of low pressure. Our explosive cyclogenesis happened yesterday. The isobars close together, and these are the areas of warnings. Most of the UK covered by warnings. The areas with the most impact will be in the red zones through the Bristol Channel, London and the southeast. On average, we issue one of these around about every year. We have two of those today. Winds of 70 to 80 miles an hour in populated areas like London and around the coast will cause widespread damage and destruction and potentially risk to life. And that is why it's so important to stay tuned to these local forecasts as we head through the day. We've already seen our weather front moving through, and once the rain band moves through, the winds will actually strengthen. So don't think the rain goes through and then you'll actually be able to leave the house. The winds strengthen as we head through the morning, peaking into the early afternoon, driving up these northeastern coasts as we head through the day with strong winds and snow in the north. Keurig at 70 at the Isles of Scilly. And as I was saying, you know, the warning started around about 3 o'clock this morning. We'll have our red warning coming into force about 10 o'clock this morning across London and the whole of the southeast of England. The red warning is literally about to come into force through the Bristol Channel within the next 15 minutes. So everything is going to get worse from now. So people waking up might think it doesn't look too bad. It is just going to get worse and worse. We've already seen all the cancellations on the trains. And so that's why it's really important if you don't have to travel. Good morning to you. Well, you may be waking up to being surprised to learn that there is now another red weather warning in force, this time for London and the southeast of England, for the impacts of the storm that is arriving. These are the peak gusts we have seen so far. It is only just arriving. 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts of wind through southern and western coasts, and we could get much higher than that. These are our warning areas. The yellow in the north is where we have gusts of 60 miles an hour, maybe up to 75, up to 20, 30 centimetres of snow on the high ground, drifting conditions here. For the amber area, for much of England and Wales, we are talking 60 to 70 miles an hour widely, 80, not just around the coast, inland as well. Coming into force in just the next few minutes is our red danger to life, weather warning through all of these Bristol Channel coasts. Gusts are here up to 90 miles an hour, and the whole of this area for London in the southeast up to 70, 80 or 90 miles an hour. We've never had a red warning in London or the southeast before. Such a populated area with such strong winds going to cause widespread devastation, potentially bringing down scaffolding, causing roofs to rip off, trees to come down. We've already seen huge amounts of cancellations for road and rail and ferry services as well. But accompanying that is the strong winds and the heavy rain. We've got severe flood warnings in force. That means the risk of danger to life from flooding. The focus for the strong winds within the next few hours is through the southwest of England and South Wales. By the time we get to around about 10 o'clock this morning, it'll be through central southern areas of England. Then it drives through eastern areas of England by mid-afternoon. And then this evening it's for these northeastern coasts as those winds continue to ramp up.
That this could be a once-in-a-decade weather event. Some newspapers saying storm of the century. It's certainly an alarming picture already this morning.
It really is, and it's only going to get worse. I've already had a few people saying, oh my goodness, I've woken up, nothing really bad is happening. That came into force just moments ago, 7 o'clock this morning, our red warning in force across southwestern areas of England, along these Bristol Channel coasts as well. So let me take you and see what's going on with the forecast as we head through the next few hours. So, Storm Eunice has been developing rapidly across the Atlantic. We talked about this explosive cyclogenesis yesterday. This low-pressure storm rapidly deepened, and it's this that's been so devastating so far in the southwest. The squeeze in the isobars, the pressure lines here at 7 o'clock this morning, the peak gusts of wind here will be around about 70 to 80, maybe 90 miles an hour. That's within the next few hours. Follow that squeeze as it tracks through southern coast of England within the next, by later on this morning, we could be seeing gusts of wind 80 miles an hour, not just along the south coast, but in the London area as well. We have never seen a red warning in the London area, and that's going to cause widespread devastation. And then this whole storm tracks its way up the east coast as well. So a developing story as we head through the day today. It is likely to be the worst storm we'll have experienced in the UK in at least 30 years.
Laura, thank you.
So you're waking up this morning to a storm battering the UK, Storm Eunice. The peak gusts of wind so far, 77 miles an hour at the Isles of Scilly. It is just setting in now. We now have 2 red weather warnings in force for wind. One through the Bristol Channel, where that just came in force 36 minutes ago, and another one for London in the southeast. You may be waking up to find that out this morning from 10 o'clock this morning. As we head through the day today, we also have the amber. The winds here in force until 2100, 9 o'clock this evening, so it is going to get worse and worse before it gets better. This is the arc of the heavy rain that's moved through. That's why we now have flood warnings and severe flood warnings in force as we head through the day today. And this whole band of rain, it starts with the strong winds in the southwest, 80 miles an hour in the next few hours. By 10 o'clock this morning through central southern areas, and by around about midday this afternoon, it's these eastern areas that could have gusts of wind up to 80 miles an hour before tracking up these eastern coasts as we head into tea time. Good morning to you. Storm Eunice battering the UK. Peak gusts so far, 77 miles an hour, widely 60 to 70 through southern and western coasts. We saw the impact on the coastline through the Bristol Channel just a moment ago. But it is only going to get worse. Most of the UK covered in warnings, snow and strong winds in the north. This amber area for all of England and Wales is until 9 o'clock tonight. Yes, there's red in the southwest, danger to life until midday, but it doesn't end then. And a new one you're waking up to till 3 o'clock this afternoon, gusts of wind of up to 80 miles an hour for London in the southeast. We have never had a red warning in London. And it's not just the fact that it's London, it's the south. I see lots of people saying that. The strength of winds of 80 miles an hour through southern areas of the UK is so much more impactful than further north because it's so much more populated, because there's so much more infrastructure around, and the high-rise buildings with the cranes likely to come down, trees down as well, power lines causing much more disruption. The arc of rain also accompanying that is causing severe flood warnings to be enforced, so the risk of flooding to properties as we head through the day today. So that is one to continue to watch. Now, this is where we are as we head through the day today. We continue with this low pressure driving its way eastwards. The rain will stop. Don't think that the winds are going to ease. After the rain stops, the winds actually pick up later on today. The focus for this morning, the southwest. By later on this morning, it's the southeast of England. By 3 o'clock this afternoon, the focus across northeastern areas of England. Scotland continues to be pummeled with snow. Temperature-wise, 5 to 12, adding in the winds, feeling like freezing. Has only just arrived. It is set to get more impactful as we head through the day as those winds ramp up to 90 miles an hour, causing widespread disruption and devastation. Stay tuned to the forecast.
decade event, even once in a century, some reports. Just how bad is it, and what are you expecting it to develop to?
If people remember the Burnsday storm in 1990,
yes.
about 30 years ago, it's been comparable to that and just shy of some of the winds we saw from the Great Storm of 1987. The difference now is we have one of the most powerful supercomputers in the world at the Met Office forecasting these warnings. This storm was named on Monday, so we now know we have much more confidence in our forecast, and these forecasts in our show today will save lives, people seeing what's happening, and at the moment it is going exactly to plan. So we have storm units that develop rapidly, driving across the Atlantic. We have this huge arc of clouds spiralling around. Yesterday talked about this explosive cyclogenesis, the storm tracking towards the UK. It did that in the last 12 hours. The winds are strengthening. They've just started, and it's only going to get worse. And this is just a track of where the winds are going to be as we head through the next few hours. The squeeze in the isobars through southwestern areas of England. This is 8, 9 o'clock this morning. We're looking 40, 50, 60 mile an hour gusts of wind. As we head through the next few hours, these 40 mile an hour gusts of wind increasing to 50, 60 mile an hour gusts of wind. And then that whole track heads towards northeastern areas of Scotland later on this afternoon. So we have these two very rare red wind warnings in force through the Bristol Channel coast for London in the southeast. 80 mile an hour gusts of wind in these populated areas inland are going to bring down trees, power lines and scaffolding, causing danger to life. But once they expire, until 9 o'clock this evening, we continue to see these warnings in force. So it's going to get much worse before it gets better.
Laura, thank you. Let's cross live to...
Good morning to you. So you just saw scenes there around the coast of huge waves coming in. People being advised to stay away from the coast. Our correspondents are there to bring you the latest information to keep you safe. Now, as we head through the day, these are the areas going to be seeing the strongest winds. The warnings in force red until midday in the southwest, until 3 o'clock this afternoon, London and the southeast. We've only had 5 warnings for red issued in the UK, and we have 2 of them yet again today. The winds widespread up to 70 or 80 miles an hour until 9 o'clock this evening. The storm has just arrived and it is set to get worse.